So we're rolling. My name is Eric Leo 108. I'm a sociologist, philosopher, and hip hop artist with schizoaffective disorder. What I'm going to be talking about in this video is Nouveau Economics and the psycho-consumption cage. Both of them are I'm going to explain what it is. So, Nouveau Economics is where we actually account for everything nature does naturally and give it a value in accounting and science and weigh that against the environmental effect of a business and or government. Nouveau is French for meaning new and improved, and it's more of a play on the popular Nouveau Rich, which means new rich. Nouveau Economics means new and improved economics. Basically, our economic system doesn't have an accounting system for the ecology or what nature does naturally. That we don't an example is that we don't quantify in monetary value what trees do, turning carbon into oxygen. Um, if we did, cutting down trees would have a significantly higher cost. If we as humans had to do what trees do naturally, it would cost trillions of dollars. You have to account for everything that matters in a system, just like a business. The Earth's atmosphere has to be treated environmentally like a live, cohesive system. Everything that matters should be accounted for and adjusted in the physical world and accounted for in financial accounting. So the problem is we don't measure the value of the environment. The current system is called an externality. That's when you write it off in your books for a business. So in accounting, when you affect the environment through your economic activity, one of the only ways to hold businesses responsible for their behavior is by charging them for their externality as a deterrent. The goal is to make the deterrent cost more than the externality. For example, a paper mill uh, would make $50,000 for polluting a river, but only would have to pay $10,000 as a fine to clean it up. In that case, the paper mill would pollute the river and pay the fine as a cost of doing business. So we already have an example of Nouveau Economics and what it would look like. Recently, states have been giving personhood protections to parts of the environment. This gives the environment the same rights as an individual or corporation. What it really does is gives representation to ecology and allows the environment to sue polluters. The next step would be giving a unit of measure and what the environment creates and weigh it against other businesses exploiting its resources. So recently, Lake Erie was granted personhood in America. And recently, the Mar Menor lagoon was granted personhood in Spain. The biggest step we could make is to give the whole atmosphere personhood. Basically, and what I've been arguing in the last psycho-consumption cage is the atmosphere needs rights. Yeah. My answer to that, the ecology problem is tied to our economic doctrine. To make a long story short, personhood is a good start, but for the most part, we don't add pollution to our economic doctrine. The answer is to probably not have an economic model based off of infinite expansion in a finite world. So the psychology of how pollution goes unrecognized or there is a disconnect in cause and effect is what I call the psycho-consumption cage. So this is where we're differentiating Nouveau Economics from the psycho-consumption cage, which is older. The psycho-consumption cage is more about the psychology around why there is a disconnect between our life experience and the environment. Basically, you've been advertised to since childhood and never questioned certain behaviors like health effects or environmental cost of your lifestyle or products. In the world we know, especially in a city and with the metaverse, there is a disconnect between the constructed environment, whether material or immaterial, and the natural environment, like the use of resources and logistics it takes to get you those resources. The result is not only rampant pollution, but that problem goes largely unaddressed. I talk about this in my 2021 edition about how we need to look at every acre of forest as a million years of evolutionary history that can provide medications that would otherwise be impossible. I recently ran into the scientist Paul Stamets, who said the same thing. He's in this quote that I'll read right now. He's talking about why forests are so valuable. And I quote, "We have translational science, we have applied mycology, and I think based on what we discovered, we can make an argument that we should save the old growth forest as a matter of national defense. Our fungal genomes are essential for our future and present survival. The more we eliminate these landscapes of biodiversity, the more we lose potential agents that can fight disease. And this is something I think we can use to build a bridge between conservatives and liberals, because Osama bin Laden didn't have access to an old growth forest. We do." This highlights that end quote. This highlights the importance of creating a proper reflection and being honest about the crisis we face so we can adequately address it. Movies like Aquaman show the ocean as being crystal clear when it really looks like a dumping ground full of trash in some places. The Pacific Ocean garbage patch is not reported in the news, on TV, or in movies. And 4Ocean is a company that is using capitalism for good. As an example, they should be getting subsidized for their work. Only a handful of corporations are responsible for 70% of pollution. Making and enforcing a carbon tax would be a greater equalizer economically. The way Nouveau Economics would work is, if pollution is high in that business, it would bring down the value of the commonwealth, which will have to be weighed against the value of private enterprise, of what private enterprise brings to society. In making that decision, profit, people, planet should be considered. The 3Ps tier. The hard part is implementing such measures, because the ruling class, corporate rich, put and enforce laws that protect wealth and status, and the energy sector gets a lot of its wealth from carbon producing fuels. If we implemented Nouveau Economics, mining Bitcoin wouldn't be so profitable due to its environmental costs, because we're giving the environmental representation and we're weighing it against the businesses, the environment versus the business, and giving all of it an economic value we could come up with if this is good for Nouveau Economics. Those that mine Bitcoin can't see the cycle consumption cage or do not care. Only when the last tree is cut down will humanity realize it can't eat money. If you want to help the planet and you spend money, check your privilege. At no matter what level, it's important to understand you vote with your money. And I talked about this in the cycle consumption cage post. Businesses are the biggest purveyor of trash. You should spend your money with businesses that are eco-friendly. What you buy matters. The situation of global warming is getting very serious and scary to those who know. My whole point of the cycle consumption cage is people don't know, lie to themselves, or have a vested interest in polluting. The longer time goes on, the more scientists that do acts of disobedience against the economy that pollutes will look like heroes. We could all be more courageous when dealing with global warming. Some will have to mitigate its effects, but events like flooding in Pakistan are just starting to give context. We need energy secure societies. Renewable energy and the Green New Deal would decentralize power and allow for better regional small government. So to recap, the psycho-consumption cage is the psychology around environmental degradation and how it is so bad and goes unrecognized in the media and accounting. And Nouveau Economics is the system of accounting for that environmental degradation by giving nature an economic value. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of my family. I love you very much. This will be at nouveaueconomics.com. You can, that's NOUVEAU economics.com. And yeah, well, until next time, thanks. Bye.